Flamingzard here, back again once again, and today I'm coming at you with my deck profile for my Black Dragon mill base deck. Yeah, I decided to finally build this because I wasn't so sure on how to build it properly. But if you do guys have any suggestions on a couple of the cards I should get rid of for like a better Black Dragons, comment below, because this was actually really hard to build. It was really hard to make a decision on it, just especially for these spells for the defenses and such. So we'll do 4 copies of the Buddy, and it's the Black Dragon Ascendant's Abigail. This is the only one I could come up with just to at least have the 4 copies for the Buddy. Just to pay a gauge, and when a card attacks, destroy a monster on the opponent's field. If you do, gain a life equal to the size of that card. Definitely not that bad. I wouldn't say it's that horrible because of the stats being like 6-1-1. So it's questionable on it. And yes, I'm using it with the Ozzy the Haka flag, and my buddy is just like his son of Abigail, of Ozzy the Haka. Dun dun dun. Kind of ironic, but yeah. Now for size 3s, we run only one size 3. 3 copies of Chaos Bee Murder. Love this one because call it, enters the field, build the top 4 of your opponent's deck, gets a +1 crit for each monster that is sent to the drop zone by this effect. It only can be activated once per turn, so you can just call this and hopefully get at least more than 3 crit or more than 2. Just to do the attack, and then just go ham on the opponent. Just for that one turn. Then the next turn you can just call another one and do that ability over again. Next, I'm running 4 copies of Black Dragon Oathbring. When this card attacks and destroys your opponent's monster, draw a card. So this definitely is not that bad. And I also build this deck kind of like a mix with Death Count Requiem. So, yeah. Anywho, 1 copy of Black Demon Swordsman Vidar. Definitely love it. Pay a gauge, enters the field, call up the size 1 or less Black Dragon monster from your drop zone by paying its call cost. And then it has the ability to move. So it's definitely really good. Especially with the stats, you can easily just call this and then call in an Abigail or any of the size 1 options or less. So it's definitely good for that. Next up, I'm running 3 copies of Death Wizard Dragon. Not a Black Dragon. Well, it is a Black Dragon, but it's definitely good. Just to call it to top 2 cards of the deck into the gauge, and you take a damage. So you'll be gaining as many life as possible with this deck. So running for some cards that just deal yourself damage, it's not that bad. 1 copy of Black Crest Dragon, Swallow's Nest. When this card enters the field, you may P2 gauge. If you do, put up to 1 card with Satyr from your deck into your hand and shuffle your deck. So I might run more of him if I easily get more of it, because it's definitely really good to get that instant search of a Death Count Requiem or the other Death Count card I have. Next, I'm running 2 copies of Black Crest Dragon Arios. When the card enters the field, you just gain a life, and it has the ability to move. So you could just call, gain a life, call, over top, gain a life. You could do a lot of stuff with just this deck alone. But there will be a better options for Black Dragons. I just have to find them. And if you guys do have any suggestions, like I said, please comment below, because this deck was hard for me to build. 1 copy of an emulation of Black Death Dragon Abigail. Not that bad of a card. Pay a gauge. All Black Dragons set on your field cannot be destroyed, nor returned to the hand by opponent's card effects. When this card enters the field or is destroyed, which is in this case both, for this effect, you can destroy a monster on the opponent's field. So it's definitely not that bad. And I don't mind it. And yes, I do know I have to run Overturn Black Death Dragon Abigail. I definitely want that for sure. So you guys will see that card in this deck as well. Next up, we're running 2 copies of Black Corrosion Exis. Card enters the field, put the top card of the opponent's deck into the drop zone. Then if it's a monster, gain a life. So it definitely helps out just for that extra mill. Even if you don't gain a life, you could just do a lot of stuff with it. 2 copies of Black Savage Dragon Saran. Just rest this, build the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck into the drop. So it definitely helps out because this deck is all about milling your opponent's deck much as possible. To the point that they might lose to a deck out or lose to Death Count Requiem. 1 copy of Black Crest Dragon Aurobo. When it's destroyed, put the top card of your deck into the gauge, gain a life. Then if you have a Black Dragon set on the field, put another top card of the deck into the gauge. So you can get 2 gauge increase of this with the set of a Black Dragon. So I have other Black Dragon sets that aren't just Death Count Requiem or Death Count as Segregate. You'll see them shortly. Finally, for the monster, 1 copy of Black Crest Dragon Vadar Nove. Definitely love it when it enters the field. You may destroy another Black Dragon on your field. If you do, put up to 1 Black Dragon Impact from your deck into your hand. Then shuffle your deck. So this is another searcher for Death Count Requiem. Or any of the impacts. So I can just use this if I don't have... Let's say if I don't have... Swallows. If I don't have him, I can use it with him, so I'll probably run more copies of him, just to make that a whole lot easier on these searches, and just to make it a less of a cost. So, if you do want me to run more of this, comment below as well. Now for spells. 2 of the set spells, Black Flame Bullets, definitely good. When your opponent's monsters attack, put the top card of their deck into their drop zone. If your opponent has 10 or more cards in the drop zone, pay a gauge, put this card into the drop zone, and then destroy a card on the opponent's field. So it definitely helps out with that. Definitely really helps out with that. So it's really worth it just to add that. Next up, I'll run 4 copies for the defense spells. 4 copies of Black Dragon Shield. Good card just to reduce when you're being attacked and you have no monster in the center. Reduce the damage to 0, gain a life. Helps out with that. Next up, I'll run 4 copies of Midnight Shadow. Love this one. You only cast this during your opponent's attack. During your opponent's turn. Nullify the attack if it's not link attack. So I have options just in case for defenses. Next up, I'll run Black Crest Volcano. Love this one. At the end of your opponent's turn, if you have a Blood Dragon monster in the field, put the top card of your deck into the gauge, gain a life, and draw a card. So it really helps out with this, just to build up your more defenses, and it builds up more of your resources. 1 copy of Black Ritual. Love it, just to destroy a Black Dragon. Top 2 cards of the deck to the gauge, gain a life, and draw 2 cards. So this is a better version of a Noble Sacrifice. Better than a Noble Sacrifice. I mean, I've seen most of the Black Dragon users use both of them, but I'm not sure. I think Black Ritual is more. It's better. Next up, 1 copy of Black Cloth Blade. Definitely love it. Only cast this card during your opponent's turn if you do not have a monster in the center. Nullify the attack, and put the top card of the deck into the opponent's drop zone. So it really just builds up more for the drop zone use. Which is, I was thinking of running more of this, but I had to run more of the Midnight Shadow, so I might add more of that. Next up, I run 2 copies of Million Edge. Love, love, love it. Pay a life, put the top 2 cards of each fighter's deck into the owner's drop zone, then draw a card. So I'm not sure if it means like just mill 2 for yourself and your opponent, and then you draw a card, or they both draw a card. But it's definitely good. Next up are 2 copies of Poison Diver. Love it. Top 2 cards of your deck into the gauge, then you have a Black Dragon set on the field, gain 2 life. So what really helps out with this is just based around on spells or impacts that are sets. So that's what this deck is mostly run of. For items, 1 copy of Sickle of Slaughter. Gale Haken can attack even if you have a monster in the center. All Black Dragon sets on your field cannot be destroyed nor returned to the hand by opponent's card effects. Then the souls of those cards cannot be put into the drop zone by opponent's card effects as well. When this card attacks, destroy one of the monsters. So it's not that bad, despite of it being a 0 crit and a 1000 defense. It gets rid of like options if you run out of any. Then 2 copies of Blade Chain. Chain Blade, Killing Chain. Definitely love it. Pay a gauge. When a card from your opponent's deck is put into the drop zone by your card effects, put the top 2 cards of the deck into the drop zone. When this card is put from the field to the drop zone, put the top 2 cards of your deck into the gauge. So it really helps out. You could just like equip, activate your, like if you're one of your spells, a Milling Edge or anything like that, mill 2 more. So it can easily have more chances to deck out your opponent easily. Now for the impacts. And it's the time that I show it. 4 copies of Death Count Sangregrade. Only cast this card if you have a Black Dragon monster on the field. Pay 2 life. Set. Then at the end of your opponent's turn, put the top card of your deck into this card zone. Then if there are 3 or more souls in this card, put this into the drop zone, and your opponent's life becomes 1. So it really even slims more of your opponent's options. Slims them to the point that they're like, crap, my life is at 1. I gotta do something, and I'm about to have a deck out. It gets them all strangled up and everything. Final impact, 1 copy of Death Count Requiem. For sure, I'll run in on that. This card, you can cast this card if you have a Black Dragon on the field. Pay 3 life. Abilities of this card on the field cannot be nullified. At the end of your opponent's turn, put the top card of your deck into this card's soul. Then if 3 or more are in this soul, you may put this card into the drop zone and you win the game. So this builds up. So this deck is just all about trying to get more of the impact sets in your hand quick as possible. But I might make this deck to be even quicker, to the point that it gives your opponent on a time lock. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this video. Comment below for more booster box openings. Comment below for more deck profiles you guys want to see. And comment below on your card ideas, opinions, and suggestions that I should use for this deck to make it even better than you would even see right now. And it will be a deck profile for the progress. So, hope you guys have a good day. Flamingzard here. I'm out.